95% of people who dream about owning a franchise never actually do it. You see, they start by getting fired up, by thinking about real freedom, more income, and a business of their own. So they dive in, full speed, researching franchise opportunities like they're already on the way to the summit. But just as fast as it starts, most people slam on the brakes. It's almost never because they don't have the money, or the model isn't profitable enough, or they don't have the skills to execute it. They don't chase their dream because of one word.
Fear. Fear is the silent killer of business ownership dreams, and most people don't even realize it until it's too late. By the end of this video, you'll have a 4-step blueprint to help you know if you're making a smart pass on a franchise, or if you're just letting fear rob you of something that could change your life. Let's get stuck into it. Fear isn't just holding you back, it's actually costing you. I've seen it over and over again. People, probably like you, good jobs, solid paychecks, fancy titles even. From the outside, it looks like success. But on the inside, you're stuck, burned out, wasting years taking orders, playing someone else's game, making someone else rich. Then you discover franchising, a way out, a way to actually build something of your own with less risk. So you get excited, you start planning, you're imagining a life with more freedom and more control. But right when you're about to make a move to actually own a business, fear punches you right in the face.
What if it fails? What if the money disappears? What will people say? So they freeze. They go back to the same grind, convincing themselves it's safer to stick it out. And sooner or later, most people realize an important lesson. There's something worse than failure. It's called regret.
So let's break down why your brain is wired to sabotage you and how to beat it. So long before franchise investing, I used to snowboard for a living. And here's something I learned the hard way, both on the mountain and in business. Fear isn't the problem, indecision is.
You see, when the brain senses risk, for most people a default panic button is hit. That's just your amygdala firing, dumping cortisol and adrenaline into your system. And it's the same chemical response whether you're jumping off a 50-foot jump or thinking about dropping 300K into a franchise. The brain sees risk and says, shut it down.
But here's the thing, your brain can't tell the difference between a life-threatening jump and a business decision. To your brain, the fear of failing at a franchise feels just as real as wiping out on the icy mountain. That's why most people freeze. That's why most people mistake fear for danger. And in franchising, it's the same thing. If you're scared, it probably means you're onto something big, something worth doing. You just need to understand how to use that fear to fuel action, not stop you dead. So, as you progress through the process of buying a franchise, you're going to feel fear.
But fear isn't always the enemy. And it's not always your friend either. The trick is knowing when to push through and when to pump the brakes. So how do you tell the difference?
It all comes down to having a system, a process to cut through the noise, isolate real threats, and push forward with confidence. This is the exact 4-step blueprint I use to flip fear into fuel and make smart business moves. So let's break it down. Step 1, clarify your why. Fear thrives in confusion. The clearer your goal, the easier it is to spot irrational fear versus genuine caution. Ask yourself, why do you want to own a business? What's the specific outcome you're chasing? And how badly do you want it? When you're clear about your goal, fear has less power. Step 2, filter the good fear versus the bad fear. Now that you know what you want, it's time to figure out if your fear is pointing to real danger or just growth. Ask yourself, does the risk match the reward? If the upside is life-changing and the downside is just discomfort, it's probably good fear. Is the fear based on facts or feelings? Concrete issues are worth paying attention to. Vague anxiety usually isn't. Now, step 3 is to gather data, but not too much. Most people try to eliminate fear by collecting endless data. Here's the rule. Research until your critical questions are answered. Then act. Fear won't disappear. But once you've got the information you need, it's time to move on. Anything more? That's just procrastination disguised as preparation. In franchising, we call it paralysis by analysis. And here's the harsh truth. Over-researching is just another way fear keeps you stuck. You can either make moves or you can make excuses. And step 4, calibrate your risk and then act. Okay, so here is where we figure it out. What's the worst case scenario? This isn't about pretending everything will be perfect. It's about asking, what's the absolute worst that could happen? can I survive it? And is the potential upside worth the risk? Fear almost always exaggerates the downside, but when you break it down rationally, you'll often find it's not as bad as it seems. Once we get to this place, we make a decision, consciously yes or consciously no. We never just sit and wait. And here's the secret, fear never fully goes away. It's not supposed to. The top business owners I've worked with, they all felt fear, but they acted anyway. If you wait for fear to disappear completely, you'll be waiting forever. The trick isn't to eliminate the fear, it's to filter it, understand it, and act anyway. Now here's what I want you to remember. The playbook boiled down. 1. Clarify your why. 2. Filter good fear from bad fear. 3. Gather data, but not too much that it's crippling. And 4. Calibrate your risks. Understand a realistic worst case scenario, and then act. Because fear is always there. But once you've gone through this process of investigating a franchise and decide it's worth it, you've earned the right to act. Now here's your homework. Whether it's a franchise opportunity you've been circling or something else you've been avoiding, run it through that playbook. If it's worth it, go all in. No half measures. This isn't just about building wealth through franchising. It's about owning your future, being in control with no regrets. So, ready to break through and build something that's yours? If you're truly ready, keep an eye out for the next video. We're dropping a franchise recommendation that's built for those willing to drop in, face the fear, and send it. Catch you in the next one.
What happened when you have to see it?
Well, I'll tell you, my amygdala was firing. There was a lot firing, actually. I thought I was going to eat shit.